The Galactic Council had issued warnings before. Countless warnings across millennia, most of them ignored and forgotten. Empires rose, species burned out, stars dimmed, and the Council remained, ancient and weary custodians of balance. But this warning was different. Delivered in an emergency convocation that echoed across hyperspace channels. Human ships are special. You will soon find out why. The chamber of the Council rippled with disbelief and thinly veiled amusement. The Korath Dominion's delegates clicked their mandibles in irritation. Their empire had crushed 3 neighboring coalitions in a single cycle. They were conquerors, and Earth was next on their expansion routes. Special how, the Koloth war speaker demanded, his voice layered with synthetic harmonics of dominance. Our scans show primitive alloys, inefficient power curves, and laughable defensive geometry. The Council speaker, an entity older than several civilizations combined, did not argue. It simply repeated the warning. Its many eyes dim with something that resembled regret. Human ships are not designed to win battles quickly. They are designed to survive them. Laughter echoed through the chamber. Some delegates even disconnected early, insulted that such a trivial species had delayed trade negotiations. The Korath fleets were already mobilizing hundreds of warships armed with precision lances and gravitational shear cannons. Their doctrine was simple: overwhelm, annihilate, and absorb what remained. Meanwhile, in a quiet orbital dock above a blue and white world, humanity prepared. There were no grand speeches, no ceremonial banners, no declarations of superiority, just crews moving with calm efficiency, checking seals, reinforcing bulkheads, and loading ammunition older than some alien empires. Human shipyards were ugly by galactic standards. Exposed trusses, layered armor plates welded over older scars, redundant systems stacked on top of other redundant systems. Nothing sleek, nothing elegant, everything brutally functional. A young ensign aboard the cruiser Resolute asked a simple question during pre-combat checks. Why do alien ships always look like they expect not to get hit? The veteran engineer laughed softly, tightening a bolt with a tool worn smooth by decades of use. Because they usually don't, he replied. Because until now, nobody ever tried hitting them the human way. As the Korlith fleet crossed into the Sol approach corridor, the Council transmitted one last message. It was not a threat. It was not a plea. It was an epitar in advance. Do not judge human ships by how they look when they arrive. Judge them by how they look when they leave. The Korath ignored it. They would soon find out why they should not have. The opening salvo was devastating by every known tactical metric. Korath lances tore through space, collapsing shields and boiling vacuum into plasma storms. Human outer defenses shattered within seconds. Orbital platforms reduced to molten debris. The Korath's commanders declared victory within the first minute. They had seen this pattern countless times. A primitive species folds fast when its sky begins to burn. Then the human ships kept coming. Despite hull breaches, despite fires venting into space, despite entire sections gone dark, the formation did not break. Human vessels did not dodge elegantly. They absorbed impacts like blunt instruments. Armor peeled away to reveal more armor beneath. Systems rooted without pause. A Korath tactical officer hesitated as scans updated. Enemy vessels still advancing. Structural integrity below acceptable survival thresholds. Then why are they not dead? The war speaker snapped. Because human ships were not built around perfection. They were built around failure. Every system assumed something else would break and planned accordingly. A Korlith cruiser fired a concentrated barrage into a human destroyer's midsection, splitting it nearly in half. The alien crew celebrated, marking the kill. Seconds later, the destroyer rammed forward, engines flaring wildly. It collided with the Korlith cruiser at relativistic speed, not as a last act of desperation, but as a calculated maneuver. Human ships carried mass intentionally. They were heavy, dense, stubborn things designed to turn themselves into weapons when everything else was gone. The explosion crippled 2 nearby Korath vessels, debris shredding their exposed hull architecture. Suddenly, the Corleith formation faltered. Their ships were never meant to be hit by solid objects. Human commanders said nothing. They adjusted vectors, tightened formations, and pushed deeper into enemy lines. Every loss was logged, every sacrifice accounted for. A Korath officer whispered a phrase that had never appeared in their combat lexicon before. They are still fighting. The Galactic Council observed silently ancient faces unmoving. They had seen this before, not with humans, but with extinct species who shared the same trait, persistence beyond reason. As humaning pods slammed into Corleith holes, cutting through with crude but effective breaching charges, the truth became impossible to ignore. Human ships were not platforms for war. They were delivery systems for something far worse. Human intent. The first captured Khalas commander was brought before a human fleet captain, restrained but uninjured. He expected interrogation, threats, perhaps ritual humiliation. Instead, he was offered water, medical stabilization, and a simple explanation. "You were warned," the captain said calmly. The Caliph hissed in defiance, though his eyes betrayed confusion. "Your ships are inefficient, damaged, ugly. You should have lost." The captain nodded, accepting the observation. "Yes," he replied. "That's because you think ships exist to avoid damage." Human doctrine was displayed on a hollow screen, not as propaganda, but as engineering philosophy. Layered redundancies, manual overrides, physical controls beside digital ones. Armor not to stop hits, but to slow them enough for crews to respond. "Your ships are special," the captain continued, "because they are built with the assumption that something will go wrong and that the crew will still be there when it does." Cleith vessels relied on automation and precision. Human vessels relied on adaptability and stubborn refusal to die. As the battle continued outside, Kolath losses mounted at an accelerating rate. Human ships limped, burned, and bled atmosphere, yet stayed operational. They looked broken long before they actually were. A council envoy transmitted into the battle zone, its voice steady. "This is why we warned you." The chorus's commander finally understood. Special did not mean advanced. It did not mean superior. It meant dangerous in ways that could not be calculated. News of the battle spread faster than the debris field, expanding around Sol. Civilizations that had dismissed humanity rewrote threat assessments overnight. Shipwrights across the galaxy began studying human hull schematics in secret. Human ships became the subject of fearful fascination. Why were there manual doors? Why did crews train for catastrophic failure as routine? Why did their weapons include impact munitions instead of pure energy? The Council released archived data, long sealed. Species that survived extinction-level conflicts shared one trait. They built as if the universe itself was hostile. Humanity had done this from the beginning. Their planet taught them that storms, quakes, predators, and time itself would try to kill them daily. So they built accordingly. The phrase spread through militaries whispered with unease. Human ships are special. Years later, a new expansion fleet paused when human vessels entered the system. No weapons powered up, no threats issued, just presence. The opposing commander remembered the Council's warning. He chose diplomacy instead, because by then the galaxy understood human ships were not terrifying because they were strong. They were terrifying because they endured. And once you learned why, it was already too late.